Canyon Lake.
Canyon Lake.
Canyon Lake.
Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake.
The extended drought has brought the lake down to more than half empty. Or as one business owner sees it, it's still almost half full.
Canyon Lake is vanishing. Every single day since the start of 2026, more than 34 million gallons have slipped away, lost, evaporated, drained from a reservoir once seen as an unbreakable lifeline for the Texas Hill Country. The numbers alone should stop anyone in their tracks. 34 million gallons gone daily, not in a month, not in a year. Every sunrise, another freight train of water disappears. It is the kind of number so huge, so relentless, that it almost loses meaning. Vast enough to fill about 50 Olympic swimming pools before the sun sets. Enough water to supply an entire small city, simply gone before the next sunrise. Canyon Lake, once called the jewel of Central Texas, now carries the uneasy reputation of being the region's disappearing act. The lake was never supposed to fail. It is the vital reservoir that keeps towns running, faucets flowing, gardens blooming, and local economies moving. For millions across the region, Canyon Lake has been synonymous with security, a reservoir engineered to outlast droughts, to ride out unstoppable Texas summers. But nothing is eternal, especially not water, especially not here. 4 years have passed since the Guadalupe River flowed freely below the dam. Now, the river is not a river. It is a chain of shrinking ponds and thirsty banks scorched under increasingly unforgiving skies. Desperation is no longer a distant rumor. Every neighbor, every official, every farmer and business owner feels the old certainties dissolving with the shoreline. The anxious question echoes from backyard to boardroom. If Canyon Lake can bleed out 34 million gallons a day, what hope is left for anyone in the Texas Hill Country? If the lake vanishes, what happens when the taps finally run dry? Lake of Promises. Before it began vanishing, Canyon Lake was a promise cut into limestone, pooled across the heart of the Texas Hill Country. A promise that water scarcity could be out-engineered, planned around, made obsolete by human ingenuity. That promise began in the 1960s, when Canyon Dam rose across the Guadalupe River, a massive structure of earth and cement meant to harness floods, prevent disaster, and above all, provide a secure reservoir for a rapidly changing Texas. The landscape around the lake had always been severe, rocky, drought-prone, a tangle of cedar and live oak, where rain could vanish for months and then return in torrents, washing away entire towns. The dam was designed to be the final word in water management for Central Texas. When the floodgates first closed and the lake began to fill, the transformation was immediate and overwhelming. Dry valleys became blue water, old roads disappeared, and boats replaced cattle drives along the new shorelines. The hill country, once known for ghost towns and withering crops, suddenly found itself with a jewel at its core. Summer crowds flocked to cool their skin in the impossibly blue water. Anglers cast into coves. Developers dreamed of lakeside homes and resorts. But most important of all, Canyon Lake was supposed to be fail-proof, a reservoir so well engineered, so precisely managed, that there would always be water waiting, even after years without rain. The dam was more than concrete and steel. It was reassurance, proof that the rhythms of drought and flood could finally be managed. Water tamed at last. For decades, the numbers suggested the promise held true. The reservoir brimmed in wet years, dipped but never disappeared in the dry. The river below the dam ran steady, feeding towns, refilling wells, irrigating crop fields, greening lawns across dozens of communities. Generations grew up assuming that, with enough vision and effort, no one in central Texas need fear a true water shortage again. That dream now bleeds at the rate of 34 million gallons per day. Each receding wave is a reminder, a promise, no matter how monumental, is only as strong as the forces it struggles against. Was Canyon Lake ever truly fail-proof? Or did the promise itself require rain that might not return? The disappearance begins. It didn't happen overnight. The warning signs crept in as whispers. Another summer, hotter than the last. A few inches less rain each year. The first murmurs of lower lake levels. At first, it was easy to dismiss. Texas always runs dry in August. Reservoirs always rebound with a wet spring. But then, something changed. Rainfall shrank to a trickle. 4 years have passed since water flowed through the channel below the dam. The Guadalupe is no longer a river, but a chain of ponds. Towns along its bank, New Braunfels, Seguin, Cuero, now stare out at a landscape transformed and reduced. Canyon Lake has become both symbol and casualty of a deeper unraveling. Where water once stretched horizon to horizon, bare limestone banks now glare white in the sun, marking every lost foot. Boat ramps end in dust. Marinas sit stranded. Locals gather at what remains of the shoreline, trying to memorize the blue while it lasts. Every day, 34 million gallons vanish. Some is pulled for homes, businesses, irrigation. Far more evaporates under record-breaking sun, each breeze pulling precious moisture into an atmosphere that feels less forgiving each year. Without flow through the dam, downstream life withers. Farmers rotate fields out of production. Residents dig new wells deeper and deeper, chasing groundwater that recedes a little further each month. The scale is staggering. By mid-2026, Canyon Lake has already lost over 6 billion gallons since the year began. In human terms, that is enough to supply hundreds of thousands of people for months. In environmental terms, it means habitats are shrinking, the land itself changing in ways that may be permanent. To officials, each gallon lost is a warning shot, a signal that the systems built to secure water are now losing a war against weather, heat, and demand. To those who depend on the lake, the disappearance feels personal. Childhood summers spent on the water fade into memory. The question that started as a whisper now demands an answer. If Canyon Lake can disappear, what can't? Desperation in a dry country. The Texas Hill Country has always lived at the mercy of water. Limestone hills, thin soils, rivers that blink in and out of existence depending on the mood of the sky. Small towns rise and fall by the gift or withholding of rain. Bandera, Bernie, Kerrville, each one a story written in water. Canyon Lake was built to shelter the region from that old anxiety. But no feat of engineering can produce rain that won't fall, or refill a reservoir drained daily by sun and need. Today, desperation is not a headline, it is the daily weather forecast. Ranchers kneel in cracked creek beds, staring at cattle searching for what used to be pasture. Lawns brown and fade. Wells, once sweet and clear, begin to taste of minerals and salt. Public officials find themselves shrinking ever more into crisis mode. Water restrictions, once rare and gently enforced, now become the rule. No refilling pools, no new plantings in developments, no car washes in the heat of day. For some, these rules are a nuisance. For others, especially those farther from city centers or deeper in the draw of the shrinking lake, they are existential. When thunderstorms stalk the radar and pass by with nothing but wind and dust, the nervous calculation grows sharper. If it does not rain soon, what then? Human ingenuity scrambles for answers, drilling deeper wells, considering reclaimed water, importing bottled water in truckloads. making plans for longer pipelines and costlier infrastructure. But every solution seems to trail the problem by weeks, months, years. A step behind the sun and the wind, imposed limits on a resource that has already run out for many. 4 years ago, it was still possible to call low water a phase. Now, each town is learning to live thirsty. The language of water fades from abundance to rationing, from planning to triage. Residents gather not for barbecues, but to talk water. How much is left? How long it can last? What sacrifices might buy another week, a month, a year? At Canyon Lake's shore, the conversation turns. Did we wait too long to act? Or is the crisis simply beyond anyone's control? Vanishing river, downstream of the dam. The story is written in absence. The Guadalupe River, once a living artery through the hill country, is not a river anymore. It is a chain of shrinking, isolated ponds, remnants of a once mighty flow, strung like beads through cracked earth. Children who once floated tubing trips from Canyon Lake to New Braunfels now walk across dust and gravel where water used to run deep. Shrubs and weeds colonize the exposed riverbed. Fish migrate desperately from puddle to puddle, and when they cannot, they die. The great cyclical floods that used to scour banks and nourish forests are now a distant rumor, replaced by drought, silence, dust. This vanishing river matters well beyond the boundaries of the lake itself. Towns, farms, parks, and the local economy relied on its flow. Tourism slows, fishing guides cancel trips. Boat docks sit idle, their boards bleached and curled by years of sun and no relief. Across the region, memories of what used to be a river blur with anxiety for what comes next. The environmental chain reaction stretches out. Dead trees line the banks, unable to reach water. Birds abandon old nesting grounds. Even riparian aquifers, ancient underground rivers once storing decades of rain, begin to drop, tapped out by both drought and extraction. No one knows precisely when the river might return. Every dry summer compounds the loss. Less water for the groundwater, less life in habitats built for abundance. Maps, once marked by blue lines and marshy wetlands, now color in more and more blank spaces. The river is vanishing. The lake is shrinking, and every lost day changes the landscape in profound ways. The numbers no one wanted to see. 30 million, 34 million. Each day, another staggering figure. The math behind the disaster is unsparing, mechanical, relentless, free from mercy or pause. Canyon Lake's losses tick upward in zeros and commas, gallons upon gallons, silently vanishing with every sunrise. Officials analyze the data, hoping for an anomaly, a rounding error, anything to deflate the daily rate of loss. But the totals are consistent, unwavering. 34 million gallons gone every day, compounded over weeks, months, an entire year. Since the start of 2026, the reservoir has lost billions of gallons. The same rate left unchecked means entire neighborhoods, cities, and the region's economy may face water cuts never seen before. Where is the water going? Usage accounts for a portion, municipal pumps drawing for homes, businesses, crops, parks. Some of it is siphoned for essential uses, for the daily business of keeping life going. But evaporation is the major cause. In this sun, under these skies, thousands of gallons are whipped into thin air by noon. Gone, uncatchable, never to be returned except in the next rain. Water that does pass downstream is, by now, a trickle, a fraction of what used to flow each year. Below the dam, what is left disappears into porous banks, seeps into ancient limestone, or sits stranded in isolated ponds. The spillway cracks, unused, while the exposed lakebed bakes in unbroken sun. The numbers are not just a spreadsheet, they are the future unwinding in real time. Every million gallons lost means another farm field abandoned, another week closer to the moment when Canyon Lake is no longer a reservoir, but simply a memory. How much can a reservoir lose before it is no longer a reservoir at all? Before the shoreline runs out, before the pumps run dry, before the promise at the heart of Texas vanishes entirely. Hoping for rain. Every conversation returns to the same point. We need rain, desperately. 4 years without real flow, 4 years of dry thunderclouds and broken forecasts. In the hill country, hope has always hitched itself to the next cloud bank, the next chance of storms rolling over the escarpment and bursting their veins into the thirsty land. But hope alone does not refill a lake. In dry years, each emptied inch waits longer and longer for relief. Forecasts waver between optimism and resignation as the heat wins more often than the rain. Scientists warn that even a season of storms cannot erase 4 years of drought or refill a reservoir leaking 34 million gallons every day. Yet hope remains. Generations of Texans have lived under the threat of drought, waiting for rain that does arrive in spectacular bursts. When the skies finally open, it can happen fast. Creeks flash with water, rivers pulse, and the lake, for a few days or weeks, rises by feet instead of fractions of an inch. But the climate, many warn, is shifting. The periods between saving rains grow longer. The heat climbs. Even when rain comes, much is lost to hard-baked earth and dry air before it can reach the lake's edge. We haven't had water flow through here in 4 years, one lifelong resident says, a mix of memory and longing. The river isn't a river anymore. It is a chain of small ponds.
The entire region holds its breath with every forecast. Prayers and public appeals blend with anxiety as each hopeful wave passes by. When the rain comes, will it be enough? Or is it already too late? Mirage of security. The real pain at the heart of Canyon Lake's disappearance is the collapse of certainty. For decades, water here was a given. Home buyers saw endless summers and lush lawns. Developers built new neighborhoods on the faith that water would flow forever. Businesses staked years of plans on ample supplies. But now, the mirage of security is exposed. The idea that any reservoir can be crisis-proof, that a new pipeline or deeper well could always solve the problem, is withering away along with the shoreline. Each headline, each update of million gallons lost is a confession. Nature's rules cannot be endlessly redrawn. Policies that once kept the lake full, water rights, regulated releases, carefully set permits, offer little comfort when the fundamental resource is missing. Restrictions harden, permits are suspended. Water agencies ask for more conservation, more patience, more sacrifice. And still, the loss continues. 4 years with no flow downstream is not a policy challenge, it is a crisis. Each step to conserve or reclaim water feels small against a bottomless drought and the image of a vanishing lake. Security is a receding horizon. The question turns sharper. If Canyon Lake cannot hold, what reservoir can? If every promise of abundance is just a pause between droughts, what does the future hold for the hill country? Facing the unanswerable. In a crisis of this scale, optimism and realism tangle together. Some see Canyon Lake as the first domino, a sign of a new era of water scarcity for Texas. Others believe the rains will come, the lake will rebound, and the region will recover, just as it has from droughts before. But the future refuses to declare itself. Every expert, every resident, every official shares one thing: uncertainty.
They stare at gauges, at satellite images, at the bare white banks, and measure what little can still be called normal. 4 years without river flow have rewritten the present. But what about the years to come? If 34 million gallons can disappear daily and the sky remains dry, when is the breaking point? When will the towns downstream be silent too? No water, nothing left to conserve. The land hollowed out not just by drought, but by the slow, bureaucratic surprise that came when the lake finally ran out. No one wants to be the first to declare a true water emergency, to admit that a crisis has already arrived and that no quick fix is ready. The language stays cautious. Severe drought, historic lows, emergency measures. All words that mean not yet, maybe soon. Let's hope for rain. But underneath, the question rings louder. What if hope is not enough? What if the next storm is just another tease? A few drops on parched land before the heat returns and the loss resumes. What would it mean for Texas, for the hill country, for every person whose life carried forward on the promise of Canyon Lake, if the worst is already here?
The silence under the surface. Even as the lake's surface shrinks, the deeper danger remains out of sight, beneath water and memory. The loss is not only of gallons or feet of shoreline, but of certainty, security, even the stories people told themselves about living in the hill country. Generations defined themselves by the water, cool mornings on the lake, family reunions in shaded coves, towns strung along the river between dam and delta. Now, every vanished gallon writes a new narrative. The silence thickens, birds gone from drying banks, no laughter echoing from marinas, warning signs posted where water used to shimmer. Gatherings turn to talk of water, of what's left, how long it will last, and which sacrifices still lie ahead. The fate of Canyon Lake is not yet sealed, but its present feels like a slow-motion ending. As the Texas hill country settles into the hottest years on record, and each day files away another 34 million gallons of water, the region moves toward a reckoning. Not only about water, but about what kind of future can arise in a place where even rivers can disappear. The dam still stands, the pipes still pull what remains, officials issue new restrictions, locals measure every drop. But all know that the timeline is set by forces outside any human control. Rain falls, or it does not. The lake fills, or it vanishes. The questions left behind are heavy. How much time remains? Who will adapt, and how, as the promise at the heart of central Texas recedes into shadow? Canyon Lake, once the unbreakable promise at the heart of the Texas hill country, now tells a different story. One measured not by what still remains, but by how swiftly even the grandest assurances can disappear beneath a blazing sky. Somewhere, just below the shrinking surface, the hill country waits, longing for rain and listening for the sound of a river that for now is gone.